implementation. Fortran. Fortran is considered as the first programming language in the first generation. Even though it is evolved till Fortran 90, the current version we have, there were a lot of defects in the the first output of Fortran. Why? Because the use of the goto statements. Even though the common program structures, what we see almost every program language today was said in Fortran, they were implemented in a very lower level using goto statements. As an example, if we look at the if condition structure, it was possible to implement it using Fortran in goto statements, but it was very lower construction. Integer type was overworked. What is the meaning of integer type was overworked? There were no different data types used in Fortran. Therefore, the only data type found was integer. So, even though the requirement was to do something using a string or else a floating number, it's integer what was used. And again, the access to any location in the memory was the major drawback in Fortran, as no limitations could be defined. Any location of the memory could be accessed, even if it is not allowed to dedicated user level. We'll look at a pictorial representation of this as well for further clarification. As an example, let's consider an array defined for the size of 8, where you find location from 1 to 8. It's true that the operator is allowed only to use or access the locations from 1 to 8, but using goto statement, it was possible and it is possible to access beyond the boundaries. So that is one of the major defects we came up in Fortran. Developing further, when it's come to Algol 60, the second generation, Algol was developed further so the most of the defects found in Fortran could be corrected, as they are a massive threat to the security of the programming language. The main drawback we found in Algol was pointers. What's a pointer? A pointer is a connectivity which has to a particular memory location in respect of its value stored in. Going back to Algol 60, pointers are error-prone implements. Why do we call pointers are error-prone? We'll look into one of the examples and see as to why we call pointers error-prone. There are two main problems come up with the use of pointers: memory leak and dangling pointer. Memory leak is known as missing pointer pawn creation of a pointer. Let's consider two pointers called A and B, and the pointer A is pointing to the memory location OX100, whereas B is pointing to the location OX200. If there is an instance where we assign the B's value to the variable of A, B's pointer is assigning, the pointing location is assigned to the pointer A, what happens is both of the pointers A and B are pointing to the same location OX200. And the outcome of this is an idling memory location called OX100. We'll go back to the previous slide and have a look at as to what the second problem is. It's dangling pointer. Deletion of pointer where two pointers are assigned. Taking the same example, what happened in the second step was both A and B pointers were assigned to the same location. And if by any chance, if we delete one of the pointers, what happens is the pointer B is pointing to a memory location which is not in existence. And also, when memory leak occurs, then memory will be filled unwantedly, and to make memory available back again, we need to run separate method, a function, or else need to reboot the system. This is a major threat as where there is the need of real-time software production. It is very critical that if it was not considered the implementation of such leak memory collector. So we can understand the more the criticalness increases, the more security reduces in Algol 60. Pascal, third generation language. The parameter parsing can lead to problems to pass a parameter by reference. It is necessary to put the variable before the parameter. This is not consistent, as the omission of variable automatically defines the parameter passing mode as being by value. So since there are two different ways of getting done the same thing, it was error. Pascal is very simple language. Since the simplicity increases, it is very difficult to implement the complex real-world scenarios when developing programs. That's a known factor. And again, Pascal is a well-structured program with less tendency of security crashes, as it is a quite simple programming language, which overcomes several pitfalls we found out earlier in previous computer generation languages. Part 2. The scope of the Part 2 will be covered in our final presentation, but to give you an idea as to what would be covered, I'll be taking you through one of the major important headings of our final presentation as well. In the fourth generation, we'll be considering about C++, C#, and Java security implementation, and in the fifth generation, SQL, and finally, we will be doing an evaluation of programming language security, taking in terms of generation wise as to how it has been evolved. In C++, we'll have a look at about the main topics what we have when it comes to security implementation: stack-based buffer overrun detection, safe exception handling, data execution prevention compatibility, one of the most important points, image randomization, automatic use of safe function calls, and the new operator used in C++. When it comes to Java, provides safe and secure platform to develop and run application. We will see why do we say that the platform itself provides safe and secure. And again, built-in language security features by the Java compiler and virtual machine, strong data typing, automatic memory management, bytecode verification, secure class loading. And there are three other factors as well which we are going to looking into. C#, code access security, evidence-based system security, role-based security, declarative and imperative security, as well as cryptography. When it comes to SQL, the major security implementation we are going to cover are specifying key constraints in SQL, specifying foreign key constraints in SQL, persistent stored modules, call level interface, and persistent stored modules again. Thank you very much, and hopefully it's to be continued. The part 2 is on its way